That's good.
Hello, my weather people. This is Shauna Davies, our first.
First one after ChaserCon.
Thank you. God, I'm still tired.
I've been
It's
busy.
been 2 weeks.
Has it
Still
been
tired.
already? 2
Tired
weeks?
as all get out. But we have somebody special here today. And by the way, my name is Shauna Davies, your host for What the Weather, along with my co-host James Skivers and
Hey.
Resident Matt and our mascot Lucy decided to join us today. So, and then I have to introduce my guest, the Mr. Bryan Busby,
Wow.
Chief Meteorologist at Channel 9. And before I let you talk,
Okay.
so I don't interrupt you, I have to tell a story real quick.
Okay.
All right.
Bryan Busby has everything to do with why I am here today. Everything. If it weren't for him, I would not be here.
Wow.
And that's because I met you several times.
Right.
Stage 9 Against Drugs
Right.
back in 88.
Uh-huh.
Then I met you when I dated a dude from 93.3, Brian Keller. Remember him?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Scott's Keller.
Saw you again. Yep.
Mhm.
And then I met you third time again when you were talking at my son's school.
Really?
Yeah. And I came to you and I've been talking to other people, and there's actually a female one that we won't mention right now that wouldn't help me. And so I asked you, please help me. I'm looking for help. And you gave me your card and you said, please join our group. So I did.
Okay.
And remember, that's when I started chasing for
right.
you. Yes. And we did May 4th. And then, May 4th, which was
The big one.
crazy.
Huge.
And May 8th, I now casted for the other boys. And I worked for you for about 5 years. But because of that, I met Jim Duncan,
Right.
and he led me to an advanced weather spotter, the weather spotter thing in Lawrence. And that's where I met John Davies and several other chasers.
Oh, let me, before you go on.
Sure.
You didn't introduce John. You know, when you do the
Oh,
round
yeah.
robin?
No, I always do. Just
Oh,
say
okay, just-
Resident Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he just
Lucy in the
knows-
sky with the diamonds, and then, and our special guest. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, well, I am here. So,
He just
I'm
knows
letting
to
my
be
wife
here.
do her thing.
Okay. Okay. Just checking.
But he knows always to be here, and he
Okay.
always chimes in. He's adorbs. And anyways, sorry, I apologize.
got you derailed.
I should have introduced him better, but I was gonna
Yeah,
talk
you're
to him
fine.
about him now. And I met him, and I remember I called you once for something, and you said, "You know John Davies?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then eventually we got together, we got married, and here we are.
Ta-da.
And it's all because of you.
Aw.
It's all. I'm not kidding, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass at all.
That's a sweet story.
It's true. If it weren't for you, I would not be here right now.
That's very kind of you.
So
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, but
And other chasers need to know this. I mean, and other people that or broadcast meteorologists need to know how important of an influence you and others are to people that you don't even realize.
no, you don't. You don't.
Right. And so I want to thank you for that. And John has his own story with you because, you know, you go back forever with him too.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. But I just wanted to get this out and say on air, personally, thank you.
You're quite welcome.
You have, again, everything to do with why I'm here.
But thank you. And you've done well.
And you believed in me. And nobody did.
Still do. So if you ever want to come back and chase.
You got it, buddy. Well, you know I'm always here for you.
Okay.
I mean, anything you need, we're
I
always
appreciate
here.
it.
I mean, we were talked about this with Johnny when we had him on earlier.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. So, Bryan,
Yes.
let's see. You've been here since, I'm thinking, 85?
Yep.
And you were born where?
Born in Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Uh-huh. So Cleveland from birth all the way up to high school, St. Louis University for the meteorology degree,
Uh-huh.
I guess one of your previous guests has been on here. Was my college roommate, Joe Loria.
Yes,
from
he
Fox
was,
4.
and he talked about you.
Uh-oh. Josie and I go back a while, to the late 70s, early 80s, and now we're competing
So
against
I'm going
each
to
other.
extort you now for bribe money.
Oh, sure. Stand in line.
Kidding. I kid.
And I was going to start grad school. And,
Wow.
well, let me back up. In 83, my boss's boss's boss was on a layover in St. Louis when TWA was the hub.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going back to New York. And he saw me doing weekends for the ABC station in the lounge and took my name down and called my agent. And he was going to hire me for weekends in Milwaukee. And I want to do some grad stuff. So I said, I'll pass. I went up there. Great time, great station. He said, next time Hearst comes to you, you're not going to say no. And lo and behold, he was right. So it was.
And that's how you ended
got
up here.
But John and I go back to, I want to say, the year before that.
Well, yeah, John knows. Sky, would you mind?
Was it 1983? Is that right?
It was 82.
Brian?
I think it was 82.
82 or
I
83?
think it was 82.
It was at the Weather Channel.
Yep.
But you go ahead.
Oh, you were one of the first. I mean, like you had, Bill Keneally and Dennis Smith
Yes.
and you and Mark Mancuso and Dennis Miller,
Mhm.
Andre Bernier.
Yes. And Vince Miller, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was flown down by John Coleman, who was the weather guy on
Oh, yeah.
Good Morning America way back then. And he was the one who had the brainchild of this 24-hour weather channel
Yes.
that everybody laughed about.
Yeah, John's talked about Coleman a lot.
Right.
Yeah, everybody thought he was nuts, but I think it was a great idea. I think
Yeah.
he was way ahead of his time.
Yeah, indeed. So they flew me down to Atlanta.
Yes.
And we had to go out to lunch. Yeah, you know, the interview process where you meet this
Right.
person. Then Joe DeLeo, was it?
Yes, Joe DeLeo was running the meteorology part of things
Right.
there. Right.
And so he said, well, take Brian out to lunch. And so John was one of the guys who took me out to lunch. So there you go.
Yeah, it was Dennis Smith and myself and Brian Durst, I think. And we had a great lunch. Brian is a very funny guy. He does voices, tells great stories. I remember I was rolling around on the floor of the restaurant just listening. And it was a lot of fun. It really was. I remember
has
that
never
lunch
changed.
pretty darn well. So
Thank you.
So it was really fun to meet you then.
Appreciate
Brian.
it. It's
Yeah,
good to
and
see you.
We've
And
kind
then
of stayed.
everything went to crap after that. I mean, the whole Weather Channel, he got laid off.
Well,
Yeah.
they sold it to somebody else, and they decided to cut some people. And since I was single, I was one of the people who went. But that's how those things go. But it was a good experience there. And then Brian got on here in Kansas City in '85, like you just said. And we've kind of stayed in touch off and on through the years. And I've watched Brian get really tenured up here. You've been here how long now? Since
It's 85, so 35 years.
35 years. You are definitely
150 years.
the old man of Kansas City weather now.
Yeah, now that Thompson's retired, because for the
definitely.
he got here in 83.
Right,
And
just
I got
ahead
here
of
in
you.
85. So yeah, now that Mike is retired, and now I think he's going into politics.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think he's going to run.
Yeah, he's running
I think he's
for
already
Senate.
he's already run.
He already
Yeah.
got the
And he-
spot,
and
and,
he
he's
won, yeah.
thinking about continuing.
Yeah.
So didn't you guys talk about a book for a minute? I mean,
Oh, I think Brian was looking to get something published, maybe
Which you've
for kids
done.
or something
Yeah.
having to do with
And you
KMBC. But
did it.
I was running a. You know, when I quit the Weather Channel, I moved back to Pratt, Kansas, and helped my dad with a business for a while. And I was going to stay there a few months, and I ended up staying 7 years. And I got pretty busy, and that just kind of went on the back burner. And
Damn
didn't happen.
family.
That's the way those things go.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, honestly, if you would have told me I've been in Kansas City for 35 years, I'd tell you no.
That's
Because
amazing.
My trajectory was supposed to go network. And back in 98.
yeah, I want to talk about that because didn't you try out for
Good Morning America?
Was it GMA,
GMA.
or Today?
Well,
Because
there were two opportunities. One for the pre-Today show, which was before the Today show. That
Was
I was
it-
being
were
considered.
you against Roker?
I would have been his backup.
Ah,
So I'd have been on before Roker.
okay.
So Joe Whitty was on, and he got
Okay.
the job from the DC affiliate. And so,
So
he was.
who were you against for GMAs? Sam?
I was before
Or-
Sam, and before Sam was Tony Perkins.
Oh, yeah.
And so it
Tony
would have
Perkins.
been.
No, I forgot about him.
Yeah. He took the gig. Spencer Christian was the guy I would have been replacing, and
Yep.
Spencer was rooting for me, but just couldn't get past a 1-year contract.
Well,
So.
all due respect to Al Roker, I think you would have been better. But that's just me. I'm biased,
And I get that, but
and I know you, and
that's why you're biased.
But I also know you are like you just off the seat of your pants, like boom, 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 funny, serious, serious, funny.
But Roker is an amazing communicator, not a meteorologist, but an amazing communicator. And when you talk about the network, you have 45 seconds.
Right.
It's like, hi, how long you been married? Cute baby. Here's your forecast.
Yeah.
And that's what he does.
Cute baby. I love that.
What I was proposing because,
Here
hey,
comes
Lucy.
Here comes Lucy.
Here comes our mascot.
Yeah,
She's going to lie down right in the
She's
table.
like, oh, piss on her. I'm just going to lay here.
Not a problem.
No.
I
She
think
wants to be by you.
that's not a problem either.
She's a fan. Sorry.
No problem. I think I was a little ahead of my time too because I was scaring them by saying, has anybody ever done like travel weather? They were like, no, we haven't thought about that. But
Wow.
and just things like that. So the weather producer at the time, Gerard, was like, oh yeah, we can do that. That'd be great. Oh yeah,
Right.
But when I was talking to the president of ABC News, I said, Al's probably going to stay at 30 Rock. He's
Right.
not going to leave
No,
New
he's
York.
not. He's got
And
a
I s-
good thing going.
So what I thought was, because I was coming off from chairman of the broadcast board of the AMS. And so when you go to the AMS and NWA and some of these other conferences, you meet the other guys and gals who do it in the other markets. And so I knew a lot of the ABC affiliate chief meteorologists. So what I proposed was fly me in the day before, let the ABC affiliate talk about whatever hot zip code they want to at least gain some traction in. Let me do a assembly across the city with this weather guy. And that way I can grassroots get people to watch because
that's good.
today's show was number 1, GMA was number 2.
Right.
And they said, oh, that's kind of an interesting idea. But I also proposed, instead of hiring, what's his name? Dr. Neil Frank? Was it
Yes.
Frank Neil? Neil Frank.
Neil
right?
Frank. Neil
Yeah.
Frank. That's
They
right.
would always hire him to talk about hurricanes. And I said,
Yes.
well, why don't you cross-pollinate and have the Good Morning America meteorologist on set with Peter Jennings to talk about whatever.
Right.
They said, well, that's kind of a good idea.
Wait, don't they do that now?
Bingo. Like I said, I'm ahead of my time.
You were way ahead of your time.
This was back in 98. But
See,
now
they
yeah.
should have listened to you,
Yeah.
dum-dums.
Or you may have planted some seeds there that
I know.
grew
Well,
behind the scenes.
That's not.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
It happens. But
Oh, that's TV.
Oh, you need cliche.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
this is wearing
I'll
off.
get you some Kleenex. Hang
There
on.
you go.
Okay. Anyways,
So things happen for a reason, and I'm
you're
still here.
So
35
yeah,
years later.
but look, you're the number one guy here,
Thank
and have been forever.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, I mean, not a lot of Mets can claim that,
Very true.
especially today,
Very true.
because it's very rare to stay at one station for very long.
You're right.
So, you got in right at the right time.
Yep. And-
Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm glad I stayed.
Yes.
Because after a 1-year contract, they may have said, bye-bye. And to uproot and just leave and everything familiar and, go to New York and then come back and try to say, please like me again. So things happen.
Everybody loved you since day one.
Oh, you're
And I remember, and then I met you in 88.
Wow.
Again, funny, because you were adorable working for when we did the Stage 9 thing.
Oh, yeah.
Again, this has nothing to do with weather. We were doing a Stage 9
Against drugs.
Against drugs.
That's what it's
It was a whole city thing, and it was a big deal. And I loved every moment of that.
I think what we did is we recruited a lot
And
of...
you were like, you and Larry Moore were right up in there the whole time.
We recruited like high school kids
Yep.
in their theater departments.
Yep.
And they would write vignettes to play.
And they were good.
They were really good. And they would go canvassing around high schools, junior highs, elementary schools, and did these performances to keep kids off drugs. It was an amazing cast of about, 18 of you guys?
Well, yeah, we had 2 troops.
That's right.
And every other week we would do plays, but we did the filming at your clubhouse
Yes. When
of the TV show, and I was the pot dealer, and your crew.
That was not typecasting.
No, not at all. Well, what's funny is they rolled a joint with tobacco, and I had to smoke with like 5 takes. I was getting nauseous, and I was 17. But one of your guys said, "No, it was you." You said, boy, you really hold that really well there. And I was like, oh, no, I have no idea what I'm doing at all. No, not at all.
I thought you were. She's a method actress.
Yes, so method. I'm so into my part. I mean, I'm the gal that's getting this gal to smoke weed.
I remember that.
So, yeah, oh, my God, that was a blast.
It was fun.
And you rolled with me and my friends to a Quick Trip to get some pop and stuff. And
P-O-P, not P-O-T.
Right.
Please
no,
enunciate.
pop. Soda.
Yes.
Coca-Cola, Pepsi, whatever.
I'm from Cleveland,
Yeah.
and when I moved to St. Louis, it's called soda. In Kansas City, it's called soda, right?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
it's pop or soda. It depends
Oh,
on
really?
where you're
We
at.
tend to interchange.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm always pop.
Yeah.
Always pop.
Well, I'm right on the border of Kansas, so it could be either one.
There was what did I see? It was a newspaper article by the New York Times that asked like 30 questions about what you call things, and they
Right.
could pinpoint exactly where you're
What
from.
region?
And it's spot on.
Pretty spot
Oh,
on.
it is.
Oh yeah, like a bubbler as opposed to a water fountain, as opposed to a drinking fountain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Causeway as opposed to shoreway, or just some of the other.
Right.
It's very
I
fascinating.
say
West
it
Coast,
with
they just
weather
interstate
stuff.
numbers are just
Yeah.
a number instead of
Yeah.
I-35. It'd just be
Right.
the 35.
Right.
Yeah.
It was quite fascinating. But they said you're either from Pittsburgh, Cleveland, or Detroit. I'm like, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And it sticks with you.
Yep.
And if you're around people, every once in a while my hick accent comes out. Like, I'm going to give them what fur.
Fur?
Yeah.
What fur?
But I sound like Brad Pitt in Inglourious Bastards. I'm going to give him what fur. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. Or, stuff like that. It's just like, oh, I did not realize how hick I am.
What was it? Hoagie, Subway, Hero.
Hero.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. Anyway,
Grinder.
Grinder. I digress, but it's do a Google search. I think it's a New York Times article on dialects, or just it was quite amazing, and certain things I forgot all about that I say differently than I do here. But after being here 35 years, it's like I've acclimated. But I can always tell when I go to family reunion or I'm around my relatives who are from the Carolinas. And I remember about 10 years ago coming back home, and I slipped on TV. Saying, this cold front's this cold front's about to move in.
I reckon it's about to move in here.
No, that one back.
anytime.
Directly.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. So
Yeah, he still says showers.
Showers?
And
Where's that from?
he go, what for?
At the Weather Channel when I was on air, I remember John Coleman brought me into his office one day and he said, I want you to listen to this tape. And he says, you're not enunciating these words very well. And he says, showers. See, I still do it. It's a Midwestern accent, I think. He says, you're not enunciating this word. It's showers, 2 syllables. And I was going, showers.
Oh, showers.
Showers.
Like that,
Showers.
It wasn't quite that bad. But boy, he had me working on some stuff. And so that's where that comes from.
I get it. Yeah. Speaking of enunciation, pop, not pot. Just going back about
Yes,
5 minutes.
pop,
Yeah,
P-O-P,
there we go.
Yes,
P-O-P,
it was
soda,
pop.
It
soda
runs in
pop.
the
With a
family.
P.
Yes,
I
that's
think it does.
exactly what we were talking about.
Anyway,
Anyways, I digress.
you and me both.
So, Busby,
Yo.
I'm trying to think of, was there anything big that happened before May 4th since you've been here in 85?
It depends. The floods of 92.
92, 93.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a big deal. I was pregnant.
Ah.
Yes. And we were just about to evacuate North Kansas City because the levee was just hitting the ridge. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me, this. And I was already in and chasing.
That was probably a big one. That whole summer.
Oh, my God.
all
It
the
was nuts.
It was nuts. It was at the same year that the caskets or the coffins got
Yep. In St. Joe.
unearthed.
Yes, in St. Joseph.
And then actually farther east toward, was it Holden or Hardin? Hardin, Missouri.
Something near
It's Hardin.
St. Louis.
They all went downstream
Yes.
and ended up in St. Louis.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. That was horrible.
That was bad. So
I remember I've got some photos up in my nightmare office that looks like an EF2 hit it because I haven't put it together yet. But I have photos and videos where I was like 9 months pregnant.
Great with child, but still.
With child, but I was still out there like taking photographs, and I mean, nothing stops me.
I get it.
But it was insane. I mean, and Skywers and I were just talking about this, that we're worried about this happening again because
Yeah, this year's a big
when
deal.
we chase up north near I-80 and Highway 2 up in that area. It's just, last few years have just been horrible.
Well, the ground's
there.
already saturated up there. Corps Engineers is just now starting to get access to some of the levees or behind them because they've been, still water, water.
Right.
And then you've got the situation that's going on down south now where they're already back in and out of stage 1 or phase 2 flood plan.
Out in Mississippi?
Yeah. So the stuff that they're reconstructing down there from last year is being taken on a case-by-case basis. Yeah. So,
well, I'm worried about all the snow that's going up north because obviously what goes north must go south.
Well, and along the Missouri, they've got 1,100 miles of levee to repair.
And they haven't caught up yet.
They barely started. They just got the money approved for it like earlier this week. Wow. So they've yet to pick contractors for that money. So they've got a ways to go.
Yeah.
And you had farmers that are they've been waiting on a crop since last year that didn't come.
Right.
And they're saying 18 to 24 months.
Right.
Which that's given that there's no meteorological anomalies between now and then.
And we haven't even got to.
And things already aren't looking good.
No.
Nope. And that's one of the things that we have to caution being on TV for 2.5, 3 minutes in that I try not to editorialize about the weather. What I mean by that is if it's a great weekend where it's dry, and the anchors will say, nice weekend to get out in summer or spring. But if you're a farmer and we haven't had any rain and you see your livelihood, your crops dying, it's not a great weekend. We didn't dodge a bullet by getting rain. By the same token to say, well, the snowstorm missed us, but if 30% of your income is made pushing snow and treating parking lots, you can't editorialize and say, that's great that the snow missed us.
Right.
So you really have to toe the line and know that some people like snow, some people don't. Some people want weather that's wet, some people want dry. And,
right.
It's almost damned if you do, damned if you don't.
You can't win for losing.
Yep.
Yeah. And heck, he still gets, you're only right 50% of the time and still get paid. Right? I'm sure you've heard that a lot, right?
For every time I hear that, I would like to get $1. Then I would never have to do television weather again. Yeah.
I get so frustrated when people say that. And then when shit gets real, they're like, what do we do? Mm-hmm. Like, no, wait. I thought we were like wrong 50% of the time.
Well,
so
the challenge I tell people.
Sort it out.
If this is my camera, so I can look directly in the camera. Is that mine? Okay.
Yep, that's you.
Wherever you want.
I say that if we're wrong 50% of the time, do the opposite. If I say it's going to be 90, wear a parka. If I say it's going to be 20, wear flip-flops. And then we'll see exactly how wrong I really am. It's all perception.
Oh, I love that.
It's all perception. The other thing I say, show of hands, how many people have ever had a perfect Final Four bracket?
Exactly.
Because the bracket is based on previous results. You think that KU is going to do this because of what they've done all season. Mm-hmm. All season, hey, same word. So we base our forecast on what has happened in the past with similar conditions. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But you can't anticipate every change.
Right.
Your referee makes a bad call. You can't anticipate that when you say that they're going to win. Well, your star player gets injured in the first period. You can't anticipate that when you commit it to paper. And that's exactly what we do. But we aren't allowed to change.
I look at that as NFL. Any NFL team can beat any other NFL team any given Sunday.
Sure.
I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you could study and do everything, but you never know.
Right.
And
that's a good analogy.
Our Chiefs have proven that, by
what
the
you
way.
just said.
Which one?
So, about the percentages and how often people are right or wrong. Look at something.
It's because if they're not into weather, they don't get it. All they give a crap about is it going to rain? Is it going to snow? Is it going to do this? Is it going to do that?
But the other problem is if I'm only on for 2.5 to 3 minutes, I could be right for Lee Wood and wrong for Lee Summit. Because every once in a while you get a thunderstorm that's forming east of the metro or west of the metro, and it doesn't quite make it. So different pockets I can be right. And some people say, you were right on. And the other guys say, what the hell are you talking about? So,
and plus, Kansas City is a weird zone.
It's pretty big.
That's what I've learned from Katie. Zones. Mm-hmm. I love her zone thing. Mm-hmm. And we're in a weird zone. And I try to tell them with winter. That's why I don't even try to predict. Because we're so weird. I mean, it looks like it's coming right at us and boop. The models move it north, move it south.
And I think also people tend to remember when you're wrong as opposed to all the bazillion times in between when you're right.
Of course they do. Yeah. Of course they do.
Unfortunately.
It is
even as storm chasers, we do that.
I'm sure.
So, but I'm thinking May 4th was probably one of
If
your
we're
biggest?
talking tornadoes, yes, May 4th,
2003. Yes.
May 8th in Lawrence.
Yeah, that whole week was a stationary, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Stationary front.
Well,
Yep.
warm
In the
front
area.
that just stayed.
It did
Yeah.
not move, and I think
It
that was a high
didn't.
risk, potentially dangerous situation
Thank
on
you.
May 4th.
I tried to tell him that. He didn't.
What?
That it was a stationary front for like 3 or 4 days.
So it looked, and the ripples
Yes, sir.
moved across, and
Right.
dew points were in the 60s.
Oh, it was for dog.
It was ridiculous. The following year, Memorial Day, 2004,
Yes.
up north, Norburn,
Yep.
with a tornado that stayed on the ground for a good long period of time. Not
I-
Norburn, Dearborn.
I was not there.
Now, that was the one Johnny Rollins was on for a while there. I think he told us all about that.
Oh, wait. Is that
couple
May? Are you
months
talking
ago.
about May 29, 2004?
It was that Memorial Day weekend, or
I
very close
was-
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
sounds about
I
right.
was in north central Kansas
Ah,
chasing
Gotcha.
that stuff. And then, of course, we had the southern Kansas stuff too.
Mhm.
But then when I saw that I could just go out and go 10 minutes away and just see one nice wedge for a few minutes
yeah.
instead of 6 that I have to work for,
There you go.
you know, I was like, oh, son of a biscuit eater. Really?
So,
God, I can't win for losing.
so the
This is-
flooding, I guess, of 92 is what we said, right?
right.
Yeah, 92,
It
93.
was 93.
Or what?
It was
It's
93.
kind of spanned a
because
couple
that's when
years
that-
there.
It was
Yeah.
93.
There's an ice storm of 02, I want to say. 02?
The ice storm,
Late January, early Feb. Lasted
it was January of, yeah.
I forget
January
the
of
exact
93.
dates, but it
January of 93 because I just became pregnant.
okay.
And I was at the dog tracks
Mm.
that night.
There you
And
go.
I had to drive because I was only sober one.
Oh,
That's how I know that.
and that's another thing that I'm not going to say upsets me, but I find funny because I do Facebook Lives every once in a while. And, when we talk about snow and people go crazy, like the time earlier this season when we were talking about 8 inches of snow about 3 days out. And the thing, at least at Channel 9, what the team has all agreed upon,
Right.
you got to understand also that the chief doesn't necessarily run a dictatorship. There is talk back and forth, but all of us seem to think that, okay, what Bryan is proposing makes pretty good sense.
Sure.
5 or 6 days out, we'll say there's a chance of snow. 4 days out, we'll start to get specific and say some accumulation. 3 days out, we'll start to put ranges on it. 2
Right.
days out, we'll start to put probably more confident ranges. There's no reason to throw out 8 inches of snow a week and a half in advance,
No.
then have to reel it back into a trace.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because everybody, once
'Cause-
they hear an 8 inches of snow, they're going to just go crazy and then never forgive us, even though we've updated many times.
And the next one that comes in that actually does the 8 inches,
Mm-hmm.
they won't believe you.
That's exactly right. And so people were already on Facebook saying 8 inches of snow isn't going to happen, blah, 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 blah. And sure enough, I said, okay, why don't you wait until after the system moves out? And if there was no 8 inches of snow, then I will apologize. But if there was 8 inches of snow, your turn.
Right.
Crickets. Still waiting. Still waiting. But I was doing a Facebook Live. And, people are saying we're going to go to the grocery store and blah, blah, blah. And I was like getting a little upset. And I was saying, this isn't the settler days. We're living in the Louisiana Purchase area, but Lewis and Clark are long gone.
Bingo.
For you to be stranded in your house without food for days on end, even with an 8-inch snow, is probably unlikely. And even so, you got one of these. They're called phones. They're amazing. You can pick one up, call 911, and people would come to the
Nailed
rescue.
it.
So why do people go crazy and thinking that we're in cahoots with the grocery stores for milk and eggs? And it's like, this isn't the pioneer
It's-
days.
I know.
Okay.
Believe me.
That's why my therapist is on speed dial. So this is great.
Hey, same here.
Oh,
We might
meteorologists
have-
need
I
therapists.
think we might have the same one. Fist bump.
Newsflash.
There you go.
There we go.
Sorry
Yes,
about
yeah,
that.
we need therapists
Oh,
to
yeah.
help us because that's how I roll with the severe stuff. People still don't understand the difference between watch and warning. I was getting blood work done on my doctors, and I was talking to some gals. What's the difference between a watch and a warning? I'm like, why do you have a problem with that? Well, they both start with W.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
They do.
Yeah, but there are two different words with two different meanings.
True.
And it's like, as a weather person, I can't put myself in their world and understand why they don't get the simplest.
It took me a while, but there's a lawyer friend of mine
Okay,
who explained it to me, and I never thought of it this way.
excellent.
You ready?
Yep.
Now, of course, Watch and Warning came out in the late 50s, early 60s, I think.
Yes, it was
Okay.
sometime in there.
Sometime in there. Way back in
Yeah.
Any of us were born.
Back in the olden
Oh, I'm sorry.
days.
I'm sorry. Maybe. But he said, if you were pulled over by a policeman and he doesn't issue you a ticket, what does he issue?
A warning.
So a warning means it could happen, it could not happen. Whereas a watch means I'm actually watching it through binoculars. I never thought of it that way.
That is a great analogy. I love it.
And
Very good. I had not heard of that. That makes
Oh,
some
I am
sense.
so going to use that. Do you mind?
no, not at all.
Well,
I think
that's why
that's
people
genius.
that's why people get the two confused.
because a warning means it could happen.
Yeah.
Like
He only gave me a warning, so
Right.
it wasn't a big deal. But hey, watch out. It's right there.
Exactly.
Well,
Watching
and that's
it.
why when I ask you, and I saw that you talked with Span and on Weather Brains and other pods and such, that what do you think about how our warnings and watches are right now? I know you've been asked this a million times,
Sure.
as have we, although we don't have any control over that.
Right.
But what are your thoughts about it? And, do you have any recommendations to make it, I don't know, better? I think they're pretty good right now, and
We are, but there's a new distraction that's never been in the weather enterprise before, and that's social media.
bingo.
And they're not meteorologists; I call them meteorologists.
There you go.
Where they live in their parents' basement.
Yep.
They have a little knowledge. They've Googled enough stuff, and then they go out and talking about what I said. 9 days from now, major outbreak. And so people see that, and they're going for shares. All they want is shares and likes, as opposed to, and this keeps creeping on me. Sorry about that. I don't want to get out of the
sorry,
shower.
we need to fix that.
No, you're fine.
We haven't
Yeah.
fixed it since
No,
we've
you're
been
good.
back.
But I think because good information gets clouded over by so many other different sources out there.
Okay.
You know, back in the old days, there were 4 or 5 different sources. The
Thank
National Weather
you.
Service and 4 different news stations.
That's
but now,
it.
now you've got Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and everybody can be an expert or can certainly have an audience.
Right.
And if they are not well informed, then unfortunately their followers aren't well informed. And then we all get lumped together to say, what happened to that snow or what happened to that tornado?
Right.
And so I think as far as how it's done, I think the watch warning program is great. I think that what my college roommate, Joe Loria on Fox 4 was talking about to get the criteria up a little bit. Because remember, the severe thunderstorm warning criteria was first out for, you going to tape this? What a guy. Ta-da. Just like that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a genius.
He's handy, right?
Yep.
Well, my oil needs changing, and I think the filters are...
So does mine, just so you know.
You know, to up the criteria, because originally the criteria for warnings was out for aviation.
Okay.
That 3/4 inch hail was thought that it could ding any
Yeah,
aircraft
they
left
were
out.
mostly focusing on them and not so much
An
the
inch,
people on the ground.
you know, an inch diameter hail here probably doesn't mean the same as in Maryland.
Sure.
58 mile an hour winds, I think people have gotten kind of tuned out. I'd like to up the criteria for that if at all possible. One thing that I was doing for a while, but it didn't take traction, but I have talked to like Bill Bunting down at SPC.
Bill Bunting, he was one of the first guys that helped
Was
me
he?
too. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
I saw Bill at NWA.
This is back in early 90s.
No, I'm sorry. I saw him at AMS. What am I saying? I saw him at AMS
Okay,
100.
just recent.
He would
Yeah.
have no idea who I am, but
No,
it was very helpful.
very nice guy.
Yes.
And there are 2 things that I still have a problem with at SPC, and that is the 5 categories.
Okay.
You know,
Which, name them if you can.
See, that's
dopey,
a
doc,
problem.
sleepy, grumpy. No, marginal,
dopey.
slight.
But John
You know,
always says, who wrote it? Is it Dopey?
No.
No, he actually has.
Always have trouble remembering where the enhanced falls.
That's just it. Enhanced
Yeah.
seems to be higher than moderate,
Yes,
but it's not, right?
it's not.
All right.
I guess it falls between
Between
slight
slight
and
I don't
moderate.
get it either.
You're right.
It's like,
And I was on the call with Carbon and Nate Johnson, and I forget who else, when they were proposing to add the categories. And I said, it's like adding a different lens to a traffic light. Red, yellow, green is what we have. Well, we'll stick orange in. That means start gunning it so that you
right.
don't.
Yeah.
I just think it's confusing, and people will take that and run with it and get those likes and shares. So I would love to get back to a more simpler system, if at all possible.
I
the
think
KISS
that's a good
method,
comment.
keep it simple, stupid.
And at one time, way back then, it was more quantitative, saying isolated, scattered, numerous, widespread, more so than slight risk. And so I think now that we have the era of social media, and social scientists, they are telling us that words are very important.
That's what I went back to school for.
Words are very important. And I think the impacts mean more than what you're under. Like in the wintertime, Channel 9 will not show much if there are more than one or two winter weather advisories. In other words, if the weather advisory and a heavy snow, and then you got a blizzard warning, no, we'll say heavy snow here, blizzard-like conditions. So we'll give you the impact more so than the criteria. Because I can't remember what the specific criteria for a heavy snow warning is. And I bet you, at least if you don't work at the National Weather Service, a lot of folks don't remember the specific criteria.
I can't remember it. I'd have to look it up right now.
But if you say visibility is going to be down this, you're probably going to pick up 2 to 4 inches within 6 hours' time, that they can relate to. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
More so than putting a label on it. So getting back to your original question, I think we're doing a good job. I think if we can get the meteorologists out of the mix, that would be great. Yeah. Okay. I'll just put another piece of tape on it. There we go. If we can get the meteorologists out of the mix so that other sources of good information are vetted more so than just everything that's out there. And I think we also need to do a better job at verifying, because the other problem here is the boy who cried wolf.
That's, where we'll talk.
Yeah.
Because I worked for you for 5 years or volunteered.
Yes.
And I very much enjoyed it and learned stuff.
Yeah. And I'm still learning.
And,
we all are.
Yeah. But I joined like super green, but you got me to where I need to be, and so when anything happened in Kansas City, the first one I did was May 4th. So let's go into that. Wow. May 4th, 2003.
It was a high risk, potentially dangerous situation.
Sweetheart, I was working for you.
Yes.
No.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to do it for the benefit of them. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, first, let me tell you what I did.
Sure.
Because I came out and I called the station.
Uh-huh.
You were doing your...
Pete was on.
Mm-hmm. He was there in the station, and you were doing your
MS 150.
Yes, which is so awesome. And by the way, people check into that, your MS 150. Are you still doing it?
No, actually, he's gone to a different station now. So I haven't done it in a while. Yeah, it's
okay.
No, but still do it. Because my grandmother who raised me or helped raise me has
still do it.
Had multiple sclerosis.
Whatever he says, do it.
Although I'm not part of it anymore, it's still a great cause.
Still
it's a great
do it.
organization.
It's a great
yes.
And I know you'll do others because that's just how you roll.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I called and Pete answered, and I'm like, is Busby there? Nope. Anyone there? Of course, it's crazy early, and I was heading out to Topeka to meet Rick Schmidt. I don't know if you remember him.
Remember the name?
Yeah. And I was, again, green, and I was like, I want to go to Ottawa and just sit. Mm-hmm. And maybe little points a little further northeast, just right outside of the city. And instead I was going to Ottawa, Topeka, and I said, is anyone in the station? Not yet. And Chase was out. Nope. So we're under a high risk, and it's just us. And he goes, yep. And I went, fair enough. Let's do this. And then next thing I know, I'm out there, and here comes the first tornado warning. So I had to blast down 75 and catch up with it. And I was behind it the whole time. And I was like, oh, my gosh. But I had one phone with Channel 9, producer Pete. And at this time, you're going wall to wall.
Yep.
And Johnny was all over it.
Right.
And then the other phone was my family.
Okay.
Take shelter.
Good.
Because, lived in Gladstone and all that.
Right.
And in North Kansas City.
Right.
So that messed me up pretty good. But it was a great learning experience. It really was. It taught me a lot. And never chase through a damn downtown Kansas City ever again. I took the wrong damn exit and went 635 instead of 435. And if I would have done the other one, I may have caught the one Case Lane got, which is a hot spot by the Legends. Have you noticed the Legends area is an incredible hot spot for tornadoes.
So it seems.
Doesn't it
It seems that way, yeah.
I mean, hell, I felt bad for the kid on the water slide.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's tornado bait. Tornado bait, tornado bait, tornado bait. All of that area is tornado bait because it's such a hot area. When I was a child at 12, that's not much further along is where I got smacked.
Interesting.
And survived, but I was obsessed.
I bet.
But yeah, isn't that like a hot spot? I mean, who was the guy for your station that the F1 a few years ago?
You talking about Marcus Moore?
Yeah.
Who was with John
He was like,
Woods?
holy crap.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Where John Woods had studied meteorology, and
Right.
Marcus is now on ABC as a correspondent. But John saw it and said, "We have to get in the ditch. We have to get." And then Marcus's Moore's voice was, about as high as mine on the groundhog. And he's like, and so we have to get in the ditch. 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 Yeah, we have to get in the ditch. And that was that one. But going back to May 4th for just a second.
Sure.
Matt Labom, who is now a chief meteorologist down in Tupelo, Mississippi, who was going to KU at the time, was the first phoner, and he was on it probably a little ahead of you. And
yeah, I bet he was.
that's when we said, okay, this is serious. And that's when I started motoring west and didn't even do the second day of MS 150 stuff.
No, you didn't. You,
I had to
you,
come
you
back.
bailed and came in right away.
Aaron Justice was the weather producer at the time.
Oh, Aaron.
Remember Aaron?
Yeah.
Aaron-
I loved Aaron.
Aaron is now married out in San Diego, and now he's
he and I used to talk a lot. He's such a sweet
he's a great guy. He's a brewmaster now.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Gosh.
I'm waiting for him to send us some
If you
samples.
talk to him, tell him I miss him.
I certainly will.
He was
He's a great guy.
Look, we had a really great team, and everybody did their job. I mean, of course, I was out of play, but I was behind it.
So was
and
I.
And saw stuff flying on me, and I was like, okay, I'm here if you need me. But at this point, you were going wall to wall with Johnny, which should have been the right thing to do because that's what got people to take cover.
Yeah.
And we talked to Johnny about that.
Unfortunately, people just won't go and take heed with the warning because we've been through a warning before. Nothing happened here, blah, blah, blah. But you show a picture, it's like, oh, okay, I guess I should take it.
It's very much like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It gets people off their butt when they see it happening.
May 28th of this past year was another benchmark where of
That's
the
the next one.
35 years I've been here, that was the most scared I was because I knew it was rain wrapped. I knew it was heading to a more populated area. Not saying that people in the rural areas are less important. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is
Understand.
the likelihood of a dwelling being hit in rural Grundy County, where it's sparse, as opposed to Wyandotte County on the Kansas side, or God forbid, Jackson County.
Yep.
And at the time, Neville Miller was at Key West. He was out of pocket altogether. Nick was in Storm Tracker 9. Johnny was in News Chopper 9. Katie Horner was running radar for me. I'm at the green screen.
We watched you.
What people don't realize is I have an earpiece where people are talking to me about a phoner. There are people holding up pieces of paper trying to get my attention. There are people snapping their fingers. There are people like yelling across the two-way. And I have to synthesize all this while standing in front of a blank screen because there's nothing behind me and analyze what I see on radar in a mirrored image because it's behind me. So honestly, I have it easy because I'm a traffic cop. I have all these different things I can go to. Then it's up to me to figure out, okay, at this point in time, that's what we need to see. And if they did, we went from Johnny to Nick, and then Katie did a fresh storm track. Because that's the other thing. People think that we're repeating ourselves. No, we are not. Yes, it's a tornado warning for Wyandotte County, but we're giving new information, i.e. the estimated times of arrival. So
You're
we're not
live conducting.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So
Keeping it all going.
why people think that we're, repeating ourselves, get off the air, blah, blah, blah.
You're
no.
just waiting for new info.
And we're advancing it, too, with the new estimated times of arrival. And here's my point. So Nick had it. He was on the other side of the curtain. Johnny saw it through the curtain with the power flashes. So this is when it was between Lawrence and Linwood. So Katie did a fresh storm track coming back to me. And if you did a freeze frame, you'd see my eyes get big, my mouth agape, and I stopped talking. And my internal monologue says, Bryan, you got to keep talking. But what happened was the closer we got to Kansas City, the more landmarks we put in there.
Yep.
And so the storm track had the Legends, the West Bottoms, 18th and Vine, Power and Light, the Plaza.
And then us.
And I'm thinking, if this thing stays on the ground and it's rain wrapped, and this, of course, we don't know if it's an
North
EF4.
Kansas City, Missouri.
Well, we don't know until it does its damage. We do the postmortem, but it was still causing all sorts of havoc.
And at that point, it looked nasty enough to where we didn't see anything that's going to kill it yet.
No.
Or recycle.
No.
You know.
And so
it was gnarly.
And I'm just thinking, all these kids who are on their phones through another tornado warning out in power and light are going to think, no big deal. And if this curtain of rain, which looks like a gust front to them, comes barreling through with 170 mile an hour winds behind it, I thought, and that's probably why my eyes got big and I stopped talking, is this could be another Joplin or worse.
Right.
Or worse.
Thank you.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought too.
Miraculously, no fatalities. And
I know, isn't that crazy?
I pat the Enterprise for doing its job. The EMs, the guy sitting in the chair issuing the warnings, the guy looking at the radar, and all 4 stations. You don't expect a meteorologist to talk about Gary Lezak, Gary Amble, and Joe Loria's team, but I'm looking straight in the camera and saying, yeah, all 4 stations. If I'm not your cup of tea, at least watch one of the guys or gals who is.
That's what I love about you guys, is that you compete, but when shit gets real, you all just come together. Well, and then you can fight out the aftermath, footage after. And but when it's at that moment, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Just as long as you get the right information.
Thank you.
That's all we want.
I love that about all of you. All of you guys, seriously.
And I think that's part of the reason why there were no fatalities.
Well, yeah, I think, what does the Weather Service call it? The warning...
Integrated warning team?
IWT. IWT. Integrated warning team really worked well that time, which is the media, the Weather Service, and the EMs. And I think you guys just nailed it on that.
We did.
Great job.
And that's what you do. And those are the days that you want to make sure that you are on your game. I will tell you, it is draining to be a conductor up there for 4 hours straight, not trying to repeat yourself, trying to keep it all straight, trying to figure out...
Keep people interested in what you've got to
say so they take action.
Yeah.
It is tough, but, my philosophy is I want to be as calm as possible. Because the analogy I use is, if you're on a plane and the flight attendant sees engine failure on engine 4 and it's on fire, you don't want him or her saying, "This is exciting. That's the best I've ever seen." No, it's like, okay, how are we going to get through this together? Because we're all in this together. Right. So I don't raise my voice. I don't try to get excited. I just try to say, this is what's going on. And what was interesting, there was a lady in Linwood who came up to me, put her arms around me, and quoted me verbatim. And I don't remember saying this, and I'm probably going to paraphrase here, but she said, "You said straight into the camera, although you probably ignored a previous tornado warning you've heard from me, this is one you should take seriously, Linwood, Kansas." Or something like that. And I don't remember saying it, but I went back, just like Andy Reid does, looking at the tape or looking at the film, and I looked with popcorn and a glass of wine when I was at home just to say, okay, what's going on? What did I do? What could we do better? With a notepad in front of me, too.
Sure.
And sure as heck, verbatim. That's what I said, and that's why she took action. She said,
well, it's very similar to Bill Curtis in the 66 tornado.
There you go, in Chicago, right?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, in Topeka. I'm sorry, Topeka.
Yeah. If you're not underground, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And Gary England did the same thing in May 3rd, 99 in Oklahoma.
Right.
Right? For God's sakes, people. Oh, wait, that's Bill Curtis.
Yeah, Bill
For
Curtis
God's sake, take cover now.
Yes.
And I see you, when you say that, and you are not a hype guy. I've known you for years. You're not that kind of guy. So when you get serious, and when I see you do this with your hand and your face, it's like, he is not effing around. It's time to roll. Okay. And we actually saw you, and we actually took cover. We had just got home from chasing for several days.
This
and
May 28th?
Yeah, May 28th.
Okay.
We'd been chasing out in Colorado the day before.
Okay.
And we're going to stay out in that area, and we got up that morning and saw Kansas City was
I was like, we got to go.
Family and everybody,
go home.
Let's get back. So
it's like, back. I'm not going to miss another May 4th. I'm going to be here because we have family and et cetera, et cetera. And we rolled back here real quick, didn't we? And
yes,
then
we did.
We saw Rollins and you and went, oh my God.
This is the real deal.
What I preach, I have to actually do. You have to take cover.
Yeah, and if you extrapolate the track, you know, would have come up through Legends and probably pretty close to this neighborhood if it had kept going. So when we saw you talking about it and then Roland showing the debris coming out of the backside of
Right.
it, kind of looked like the tornado. You couldn't see it very well.
Right.
We came down here and hid in the
We
bathroom
actually
over
looked
here
at
in the
each
corner.
other like, I can't
We
believe
thought,
this
let's
is
just stay
actually
here.
happening.
Yeah.
I mean, and I preached this, and I was like, we actually have to take cover. We're not used to this because we're usually out.
Right.
You know, but it's like, get the cats.
Right.
And luckily we had our suitcases, so like, just throw them in that bottom bathroom and we'll roll.
And miraculously, the thing went through its life cycle. It took us
I
a
know,
breath,
right?
lifted over the city, but then Nick called in and said, I'm going to stay on it because I think it's going to redevelop.
Right.
And so he was up toward, was it Excelsior?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Up,
Just west
up
or
near
south?
Kearney and
Yep.
Excelsior. Yeah, he got
Kearney.
on that.
Yeah.
He did a good job.
And again, kudos to him because he cut his teeth in Oklahoma and in Amarillo. So he's in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Amarillo. So
Yeah, so he knows his stuff.
he knows
on
his
that.
stuff. And that's the other thing. It makes my job easier because I don't have to micromanage. Like you said, I just say, who do I go to? Stay calm and hold people's hands and say, okay, we're going to get through this together. Ain't going to be easy, but we're going to get through this together. And this is what we need to do.
But KC proper.
Dodged a huge bullet because
Yeah, we
when it was
really did.
recycling, it went over the Northland and then put down another tornado once it got past the heavy part of the metro area. So we were fortunate on that. But again, what the media did, the EMs and certainly the National Weather Service, boy, you guys really nailed it that day.
I'm very happy with what we
Yes.
did, what the other three stations did,
Excellent
what the EMs
job.
did.
Everybody
and,
did a great job.
That's why we do it. That's why we do it. But you know, it's unfortunately one of those things you can't really have a drill with. You can't, you know, get the adrenaline going. I mean, we have canned data of that day, and we have it in the computer system. So
You
we
can do simulations, I guess, but
but
it's not the same thing.
No, it's like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Crimson Tide, which is with Denzel Washington and
Yep.
Gene Hackman. And Gene Hackman has them go through a drill, and the guys are just kind of going through the motions of calling in blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they're still very flat on the two-way. Commission confirmed, you know. But when it actually happens, then,
Right.
you know,
Well, then you got
step it
your
up a notch.
production crew. How do you hype the news desk, you know, taking in calls? How do you hype your digital media manager into, you know, producing all this different content? You know, it's a lot to juggle.
It is.
And you can't simulate that.
No, but we will meet. We meet the day before, kind of tell them the general plan, and then that morning we do a conference call. And they say, okay, Brian, what do we do and how bad is it going to be? And everybody knows their job and their role. And, you know, the models have gotten better with the timeline so that in the old days you could say, well, sometime today, but now the her is like, okay, but
I hate the her.
You hate the her?
I hate the her.
Is it always consistent that you always hate the her?
I've been trying to get her to like it.
I don't like the her.
Let me see. You agreed with me when I said that people remember the last time you were wrong and all the other times you were right. Well, maybe you remember the time the her was wrong as opposed to all the other times it was right.
I know, but it's just, to me, it's cheating. In a way. Cheating,
Okay.
well, as a storm chaser.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because it's like, okay, well, if you can see all the tracks and stuff, then that's like, it's like, hey,
if
go
you-
here. You know, I mean, and it's not always right, and that's also annoying. But it's just, I mean, I'm starting to like it.
Okay.
Her, I'm starting to like her.
well, the morning of May 28th,
We're becoming friends.
Good.
Yeah.
well, the morning of May 28th, the her showed actually a nice supercell track southwest of Kansas
That
City. It
is
was
true.
probably
I
about 40,
agree.
50 miles too far south, but you don't want to take it that exact.
It's just, I don't
But it was
like
telling you
to-
that in this area, it
Right.
looked like there was going to be some big stuff. And so
Right.
I think it's a useful model.
No,
for that
it is
standpoint.
useful. It's just, oh gosh, there's so many models today, and there's so much to look at. It's like, what is it? Get lost through the forest, through the trees.
Can't see
a
the forest for the
situa-
trees. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I feel as a weather person, as a weather chaser,
Mm-hmm.
and storm chaser. It's like, it's almost too much information.
Well, I'll give you that.
And I prefer just to use the old school type and then figure it out myself.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
But I mean, it is nice to look at it, and I'm like, oh, is that her? What does it say?
You see, there you
Yeah,
go.
and then I'm like, what's it say? Oh, so it says that. Well, we'll see.
See, John
But still, what does it say? Yeah.
That's
John
a storm chaser speaking there.
Yes.
John and I are old enough to remember the LFM.
What's the
And the barotropic.
Tropic and the baroclinic.
The limited fine mesh model and the barotropic were the two models that you
All
had
right,
to
you
look at.
two do your boy thing. I gotta take a break.
They're like, what, eight?
Jeez.
Eight?
Yeah, do your boy
I think
thing.
they're like
Eight levels? Yeah, something like that.
I
I've
have
forgotten.
to go take a
Brian,
quick
a
break.
lot of
You
it.
boys talk
Okay.
about this. I'll
We
be
will.
right back.
Okay, we'll talk models for a moment.
Four models. Cheryl Teagues is a good model.
Yeah, she is.
Tyra Banks.
I better not talk about that sort of thing with my wife around.
No, but getting to her point, though, there is too much. There is sensory overload in a lot of ways because you have so many different solutions and nuances between each and every one, the European and the GFS and the NAM and the HER and the HER. And, I mean, you can drive yourself nuts looking at all
you
that.
can drown in data if you want to, you know. And so what you do is you have some experience with it. I think you pick out what you like to look at and what you have some experience with, and pick out the things. I guess it's just a skill to be able to pick out what's important,
Right.
rather than killing yourself with all this information.
The analogy I use with that, and all my proteges say, you're just Mr. Analogy because you have an analogy for everything. I don't mean to.
That's great. That's a good way to communicate with people.
I think so.
I think it's very good. So.
Well, good. I'm a bookie. What I mean
Okay.
is if I'm betting on horses, certain horses run better on a dry field as opposed to a wet, muddy track. Certain models are better in late spring. Certain models finally get their footing by early spring. And since we get two severe weather seasons, some are good going from fall translating to winter.
Okay.
So you got to know the shortcomings of the model, the mathematics that goes into it, and also the track record of what it's done. So I don't necessarily poo-poo any model. Hook, line, and sinker.
I don't either.
Oh, we'll get to her over dinner. We'll talk to her. But
Look out, Shauna. Here we
yeah,
go.
yeah. While she's out of the room, we'll talk.
Yes,
But
we will.
it's sensory overload, and I mean, yeah, we can all get bogged down, but that means I'd be starting at a much earlier time and still not digesting it all because I still got a deadline at 4:00 in the afternoon. Build the graphics, so that's at 2:30, and some of the runs are just coming through. You know,
Exactly.
so it's like, okay, so this is based on the HER from 4 hours ago, but now look at it. You know, you got to bet on a horse and go with it.
I think that's what you need to do. I think that's a good analogy. So, wow, you know, there's a lot of things that can be said about the models. Like with, I know just recently, if you look, we have models now, you know, that they put out exact snowfall amounts.
Yes.
And you can see what the accumulations are, and as the NAM likes to be all over the place and overdo it, whereas the good old GFS, which has been around for a while, does a lot better on those areas. You know, so there's it's just an experience thing.
Yep.
About voices.
My voices? Okay.
Because,
Sure.
yeah, well,
Not now?
yet, but I'm.
Well, the guys are done talking models, so you're not your
Yeah, we'll come back to
Well, I like certain models. I mean, depends on.
GFS?
Well, it depends. Actually, go to him on that one, but what's funny is it's like I just still go to simple surface map, 500, you know, 700 sometimes.
So
depending.
it's your model,
It's my model.
and that's fine too.
I like my own models.
Nothing wrong with that. If it works for
I
you.
do my own forecasting.
If it works for you,
It works for me.
there you go.
And
That's it.
And also, I'm a woman.
Intuition? Is it?
Intuition. Mother Nature is a woman.
Well, I will say Shauna's intuition sometimes with
It's
weather is
pretty
pretty
damn
good.
good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. There's times where we've been out, unfortunately, sorry, God forbid, Joplin was the day. Said people are going to die.
Yep.
Knew it. I mean, it was super obvious. El Reno. I said for the first time ever, I said when we filmed this, let me go back, when we were at Little Sioux Camp.
Tornado Road, that reality show we were on for a
reality
bit.
show. And we went up to Little Sioux, Iowa.
Okay.
I said people are going to die today. And 4 Boy Scouts did perish. Now on Reno was the first time I ever said chasers are going to die today. But I meant amateurs.
Not Samaras and his team.
No, that was a real head twist.
Not at
Nice
all.
guy. Oh my God.
Oh my God, he was a doll. He was him and Carl and Paul. I mean, just
I
the
said,
most loveliest fellows, and they were very encouraging to me. Also, like
Good.
you.
Good. And I had the fortunate opportunity to sit next to him on a panel out in Douglas County
Oh,
many years ago.
that's-
And
I
that was my
remember
first
that.
and only time ever meeting him. But he's funny. He has a dry
He
sense of
was
humor.
a hoot,
Oh, yeah.
just like you.
Thanks. He has a dry sense of humor, which is great. And when I heard about it, I was like, oh, my gosh. But, that, again, goes back to the movie Twister. It goes back to the day after. Not the day after. That's about nuclear.
Day after tomorrow.
No, what's the one? There was a one chase movie that came out more for this generation, millennials.
Into the Storm.
There we go. Thank you.
Several years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Our guy from V played a Sean
Matt
Casey
Walsh
type guy.
played, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
We're a fan of the show V. So
Oh, okay. Not a problem.
but anyway,
But, people think that they have Googled enough information. They've looked at enough models. They have one of these for their, they have like radar scope on. So I am now qualified to go. Yeah.
And
And-
I will go do this.
And I went down with a tracer down at that location to see the memorial. And just to see the gravel and the way that I mean, Oklahoma's grid is not very practical or logical in how it is laid out. And so
Yes.
we took a limousine just because a taxi is going to be too expensive. It's like, here's the flat rate. Here's your tip over that. Take us out to this location, GPS it. There we go. And we went out there, and I'm looking around, and I'm just like, oh my God, no wonder. It was because if it occluded and if it back built, which it did, and became a left mover. I mean, I forgot what it did, but it did something.
It did a left mover, and it evolved
It
so
just went
quickly. I'm not
rogue.
exactly
It
sure what
wasn't even
happened.
so
but
much a
it,
left mover,
it's
but-
almost like it was this big, and then suddenly I'm going to annex things to the northeast very quickly in the next minute.
We have a photo where it looks like two wedges when it was hitting I-40. But the only reason why we survived was actually we were chasing that, and some guy threw paint on us. Or not like threw it, but came out of his truck. And we stopped for a minute, and then we were going to it. Now, that storm that day was supposed to go 25 knots to the northeast. Okay?
That was kind of the forecast.
That was the
yeah.
forecast. I remember that. And when I saw it and it was backlit, I went, there it is. It's already on the ground.
Wow.
And we were like behind because we had to stop and try to rub the paint off. And then John goes, oh my God, we're on dirt roads. What do we do? What do we do? I don't know this area. Saw a cop drive by. He goes, I'm following him. Because
I knew
he
knew
obviously
the road
knows these
network, and I
roads.
said, we need to get south and the
That
other way.
is the only reason why we're here.
Wow. And
If it weren't for him, we would be dead.
Yeah.
I
But
do
you go
remember-
ahead.
I do remember now that it did just swell.
Yeah,
real quick.
it's one of those storms that does something you don't expect it to do. And every once in a while, they'll do that.
And I did what's called a stand-up to report on that to try to visualize what happened over such a short period of time. I was standing on the 12th Street Viaduct, which is downtown going toward the bottoms where the haunted houses are.
Yep.
And,
I know
and
exactly
Kemper.
what you're talking about. Yep.
And I had the photographer zoom in on Isla Capri and said, that's the
Really?
edge of the tornado. And a minute later, it would swallow me from this distance because that was about a mile to a mile and a half.
Yeah.
So that put it in perspective to me to think, okay, I'm here on the 12th Street Viaduct. That's Isla Capri. I'm safe. A minute and a half later, no, you're not.
And that's how we were rolling because I was like, go, 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 go. And John goes, well, I want to see it. I'm like, we have zero time because for once, this actually did look like Twister. It didn't look HP. It looked like when they threw the truck in at the end.
Right.
It looked like that. It looked dirty, and there was vortices in the front. I mean, nothing I've ever seen in my life. And John goes, no, I have to see it. I'm like, if so, you got 1 second, man. And he got it, goes, you're right. Boom! And there we go. And I was like, yeah, I told you so. Get us out of here. And I'm just looking at the
that was
RFD. I'm like, I'm looking at the edge of the RFD. Just get us past that, and we're going to survive.
That reminds me of the Oak Grove tornado.
Oh, yes.
Because Nick was in that one.
Oh.
But what I
About
was going to say was
3 years ago, 4
Yeah.
years ago, I can't remember.
he was in front of it. He was on I-70. It was
Yeah, I
behind
remember.
him. And while he's doing the live feed with me,
Right.
he's talking to the driver, Jim, I need you to go the speed limit, of course. You're like, yeah, right, Nick.
Yeah,
It's not going to go the
of
speed
course.
limit. But that one was going at, what, 45 to 60?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in March, and so it was moving at a pretty
It's
good
moving
clip.
pretty quick.
They
Yeah,
always
I remember,
move
yeah.
fast here. I mean, was it near a warm front? Was it a warm front?
I-
Roller?
I'd have to go look up
Have
the
to go back and
setting
look.
on that because I've kind of lost it on that.
Because
But it was a
those
queue.
usually-
It was within a line. It was not like supercell.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
There were individual supercells originally, and they kind of globbed into line. We had the one that was up north of Smithville, and then that one, and that was we're lucky on that one. That
Yeah.
Nobody really got killed on that one too, and you guys did a good job covering it, obviously.
Absolutely.
So,
And then real quick,
Sure.
May 8th, 2003.
Yep.
Because I was actually nowcasting for the team of Channel 9.
Mm-hmm.
I told all the boys, get north and west now. Like, they were all calling me Duncan and the other boys. And I was like, this sucks. Because, Zach, my son, was quite little, and
Right.
I didn't have a babysitter, so I had to stay home. So I said, I'll just nowcast for you.
Okay.
But I was like, get over there now. You need to go to K10 and
That was a
do
Lawrence,
this.
Kansas one, right?
Yes, sir.
yeah. And Johnny Rowland's got that.
Yeah, of course, Roland's got it, and that's where it hit that dry pocket of air. And then Jim called me back. He goes, "Where'd it go?" I went, "It just went." Now,
And it really didn't
John
look that
and I
impressive.
talked about this, right? Isn't that weird? How it just slammed into a wall, It just didn't rope out or nothing. It just poof. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's not by accident that meteorologists in school have an option of taking fluid dynamics. And it's not by accident that we use the same words to describe water that we use for air.
Yes.
Like stream, jet stream,
Right.
a short wave. So I think that if it did hit a wall, a pocket of drier air, which is going to have a different density and it's going to have a different property, it could just hit a wall and just dissipate pretty quickly.
Dissipate.
Yeah, as I remember that day, there was an east-west front, and I think just north of the front, it was an extreme moisture gradient, if I remember correctly, where it was very moist south of the front, and the storm probably went across the front, and maybe it encountered this. Usually you don't get that strong in moisture gradient going across the front, but I think that day maybe that's what happened, and it, like you said, ingests that dry air, and it's fluid dynamics. It can't maintain its dynamics, and
And it really
goes.
It didn't look that impressive on radar either. I remember
Right.
Yeah.
I found
tossing
that
to Johnny,
fascinating.
and Johnny's like, "Well, it's on the ground." I'm like, "Wow!" And then live on TV, you see two rooftops taken off
Right.
of the apartments, and
Yes.
that's another time where I thought I just witnessed death. Because I'm thinking young people. This is before a lot of the apps were on smartphones, but it was about 6:30 in the afternoon on a Thursday, I believe, and I just thought with a new apartment complex, they're not necessarily paying attention, and with the whole roof taken off. And Johnny went back and looked at the damage, and if you listen carefully to the audio, you can hear me gasp, where he's getting the apartments in the shot, and you hear me go,
Oh,
because
that's
I'm
not
thinking,
good.
yeah, exactly.
Because I was actually watching too live, watching you as I'm
Thank you.
fielding the
The other guys
the
out in
boys,
the field, right.
to get ground truth.
Mhm.
And I went when I saw that, I went, oh no,
Yeah.
this is not good at all. I mean, you could see inside their apartments. No, I thought, oh no.
Yeah.
So, but you, as usual, did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I wonder if on May 8th people were alert from May 4th. I mean, it's only 4 days.
What's funny is
Okay,
the
bring it.
The people in Liberty were like, "Thank you for being on the air and interrupting whatever we were interrupting." I can't remember. May 4th was
2003.
right, so it was the season finale of Alias, but I think we were on
Ah.
before that, and because the tornado threat was over, we went to regular programming and we interrupted the local commercials. But everybody was like, "Thank you so much for doing it," and some people still want to see the season finale of Alias. I told the director, "Please play the first 5 seconds of the commercial so people will see that we're talking about Tide and they're not missing part of the program." I say, do it sloppy on purpose so that
Right.
we don't want to be neat and go straight from, "I'm going to stab you," to, "Hi, Bryan Busby. Tornado right now." No. Put something in there so they know that's what's going on.
Right.
Anyway, so that's the praise we got, and some people who were upset, as is always the case. Because, if it doesn't affect my cul-de-sac, I don't care. That's just the way people are, unfortunately.
Exactly.
And that Thursday, I'm covering Lawrence, and I'm getting emails from Liberty saying, "Get off the TV." It's like, don't you remember what happened to you on
Exactly.
Sunday?
4 days ago, you dum-dums. That's not fair.
Yeah, welcome to my world, babe.
I know, right? Well, welcome to my world.
There you go.
Yeah,
Well, people with their
even
TV
as-
shows, they can be kind of self-absorbed sometimes. They
Oh,
don't realize
yeah.
what's
If
affecting
it
other
doesn't
people.
affect
Yep.
them, then they give 0 Fs.
Or they think we're hyping it because it, well,
Yeah.
this is a
That can
tornado
be true.
warning, and I don't see anything. And the
They
last
don't
time you guys
get-
were on, and you said it was going to hit Overland Park or Oak Grove, and it didn't. So you guys are hyping it.
Right.
And no, we're not. It's
It's
just
always a
We're
thing.
doing our job
Even
to try to
people
save people.
contact us and bitch about interrupting, like, hey, tell your friend Busby or Laura or
Whatever.
somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, go piss off. And they won't be there for you next time.
no,
Or-
I will be.
No, I'm
You
kidding.
know, yeah, I know.
I kid.
Yeah, but
No, of
it is what it
course.
is.
I mean, I get
Of
it.
course.
I understand if you're not into weather, or if you don't want to know, just kind of like, well, like cancer or deaths. You don't. Sometimes people just don't want to talk about it,
And I get that.
don't want to deal with it. It's too icky.
It is.
It is icky.
And I tell my
And-
proteges not to lose heart and not to be gun shy about doing it. Because I say part of the problem is you're maybe not their first choice for weather. Okay? So here you are, you're at home, you got a big tub of popcorn, you got your honey on the sofa, you pop on the TV to watch The Bachelorette or The Bachelor or whatever. And then all of a sudden, the guy you don't watch, you make a conscious effort to tune away from, is forcing you to look at him.
Right.
So it's his ego, or he's doing it. And the other stations wouldn't do that. Yeah, I bet you they are. But so just because they like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette does not mean they like Bryan Busby. They maybe like Gary Lezak or Gary Amble or Joe Loria preferred.
But I bet you if Busby's on, so is Anvil and Lezak and Loria. Because come on,
Yeah.
if you're on, the rest are on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very rare that it's just one of you. It's
Right.
usually all of you.
Exactly. And again, that's
And,
why I will.
and people should understand that. That if everybody's on, hello.
And I think sometimes we dip in and out depending on what it is as
Right.
opposed to the situation. So maybe when you are flipping around, you're back to programming, but
Sure.
the commercial break could have been right before.
And obviously you want him to be back to programming.
Yeah,
But at the same time, you got to warn him.
yeah,
I mean, that's your job.
that is my job. And again, that's why I also give props to my competitors. And I think that's important
I
because
think that's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good thing to do because you guys are all in it together.
And as storm chasers, though, everybody just calls us and say, what's the weather going to do?
don't you love that?
Oh, I love it. And it's like, I've got so many products out there to teach them, right? Skivers,
Yep.
you should know, surviving the storm. We have products so they won't call me. And they love to call me when I'm chasing.
Oh, yeah. That's
I
the
mean,
best time.
that's the best.
That's the best time.
Especially in the middle where I'm in a core. And I'm like, I'm white knuckling right now. Please go F yourself because I can't help you right now. I mean, if I have not taught you and you haven't listened, you're on your own. You know, I mean, that's it.
But people
Right?
actually-
What do you think, Skivers? About people who call when we're chasing. I mean, it's just as bad
I ignore 'em.
as
I know, unless it's my family.
well,
Unless
the
it's my
family.
family, you-
it's
you
usually
just
my
like,
family, and it's like I've taught them,
Yeah.
and it's like they're like,
They wanna hear that
I
reassurance.
wasn't listening.
They want to hear that reassurance.
Yeah, I know, and it's like this. I want to reassure that I get home okay. So
If the storm's
leave me
happening
alone.
and you're reaching out to me, you reached out to me too late. Sorry.
bingo.
Wife.
Every once in a while, we'll get phone calls for things that I don't know right off the top of my head. Like on my days off, I try not to look at stuff just because I want to break.
I understand that entirely.
Good for you. Good for you. And there are times that people will call and ask for things that you have no idea what's going to happen. For example, my daughter is going to be an exchange student in Greece. What should she pack? Clothes would be nice.
Yeah.
But he wants me to get more detailed as
Right.
to she's going to be for 9 months.
I would just say layers,
But
and
they,
that's it.
but then they're going to say, "Oh, that was arrogant. That was kind of
Yeah, you can't win.
No, you can. But I remember one time, and I'll never do this again. And
Okay.
when somebody calls with something that's specific, I will either say, "I don't know. Give me a call back 2 weeks beforehand, or whatever." Okay, you're going to laugh at this one.
Awesome. Hold on, let me get all up in here.
Okay.
All right.
So a lady calls me
Bring
up.
it.
I'm engaged. Congratulations. We're going to get married in April. Okay. I'm going to do an outdoor wedding. All right. What's the weather for whatever date she picked? Now, I'm working and I'm typing. And so I'm asking questions like, okay, what's the address again? And she gives me the address, but I'm doing graphics. But I'm still keeping her on. Does the church face north or south? Okay, thank you. High temperature, 54. Enter.
I see where this is going.
Is it 3 in the afternoon? Okay, yeah. Mostly cloudy with a chance of showers. And I'm doing my work for today as opposed to, but just keeping her on the phone and just
keep diving.
Information.
This is probably 6 weeks off or something.
It was about 4 months off.
That's crazy.
4 months.
4 months.
Awesome.
So I
Told her
said,
just get the Farmer's Almanac. And look it up.
oh, there you go. John, sacrilege. So anyway, I had her on the phone long enough, and I was done with this portion of my prep. And I said, okay, probably going to have rain showers in the morning. It'll clear out, and so the afternoon should be dry. Okay, thank you. Forgot all about it. Got a call the day after.
No way.
You were right.
What?
I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, it rained until about 11, and then the sun came out just, I said, I'm never going to do that crap. That's
Noise.
That's why I will never win at blackjack, roulette, poker. God's looking down at me like, you've used all your favors. All your favors are gone, son.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. I love it.
But now she's now my best fan.
That
I called him
is
5 months in
awesome.
advance, and now,
But the fact that you would even take the time to do that's beautiful. Because, some don't.
Yeah.
But
this is true.
that's beautiful.
But I do it differently now. And I say, this is what I think
get it.
now. I say, it's 5 months way too far in advance. But
Yeah.
give me a month. Call me back in 2 weeks beforehand. Give me
Oh,
something.
that's so sweet.
Yeah.
And so everything worked out great.
Mm-hmm.
Yet again.
Never
Is
again.
it-
Never
Bryan
again.
Busby is a hero. Yeah, just say. Seriously, you are.
You're kind. Thank you.
Well, you're my hero.
I appreciate that.
Hey, I mean this. What else do you want to talk about?
I don't know. You guys have done your homework, so you
Where
want
we
voice.
at?
I don't know.
Because we're going to go have dinner and stuff.
About an hour and 15 then.
Hour and 15. You want to talk about something else?
You mentioned voices, so you want to do what do you? Her eyes. that big.
no, we're going to LA. Our best friends are composers in LA,
Okay.
and they're doing Animaniacs right now.
Nice. Sweet.
I know. We'll talk to you more about that.
Okay.
Later. But anyways, you and John are both. Isn't it funny how many weather people are into music? Music.
Yeah.
You're a bass player.
Bass, cello, strings.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and you he actually went to school to be a composer. And
Well, yeah, let's not talk about that.
he hates talking about it.
He's
Why?
modest. He's modest.
I know. Come on, man, get over
look,
it.
Brian is our guest. How did you get into music?
Yes.
You're an
And
expert
there's a fine line
timpani
between-
player,
Right.
and you've even conducted the Kansas City
Well, I
Youth
was
Symphony.
going to get to
here, right?
Brian, and isn't there a fine line between science and music?
I think so. It's
I think
mathematical.
it's very, very in math. All that.
When I was growing up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I saw the only meteorologist I ever knew, the guy who's on TV, a guy by the name of Dick Goddard, who just retired about 2 or 3 years ago.
I've
Been on the same station since 1961 and just retired. That's a
amazing.
career. That is a
That
career.
is
Yeah,
a long.
That's a hard one,
Yeah.
record to break.
I've heard
Indeed.
of him.
Wonderful guy. And he invited this kid, 3rd grade, who was scared of thunderstorms down. And he's the one who showed me the barotropic and just says some of the math involved. But I didn't understand that until I got to college. But everything we deal with is a number. Temperature's a number, humidity's and a percentage. That's a number. The barometric pressure's in a number with decimals.
Right.
Probability of precipitation's a percentage. So everything we deal with is a number. And of course,
I noticed you're saying that like a beat.
I'm a
noticed
percussionist.
that like a beat. Boom. I know, and I love percussion. That's
Thank you.
my favorite.
So how
But-
did I get on piano? Well, basically, my parents, I love them. They're both still alive. For me to be as old as I am,
Oh,
to still
bless
have
your
both
heart.
my parents still with me is amazing.
That's
That's
Dad
awesome.
will be 93 later this month,
Oh,
and Mom is 86. She'll be 87.
you're a very
Yeah,
lucky
87.
man.
Yeah. I know when either one go, I'm going to be a basket case. But to be as old
I
as I am,
understand.
to have both of them, and I even talked to him today, and
I know.
still keep in touch with them. But they were one of those sets of parents who want to expose my brother and me, since I'm the youngest of two, to everything conceivable. Nothing was impossible. And think about this. You know, we're talking late 60s. King just got shot.
What does your dad do?
He was a postal worker, and he worked his way up into the
And your
customs. Mom was a nurse anesthetist, but she was a nurse in the pediatric ward and then went back to school. And so that was the drive that the point I was getting at is this is late 60s.
Right.
King just got shot. Bobby just got shot.
Yep.
Civil rights was just, the ink wasn't even barely dry.
Oh, and stuff was...
So for them to encourage their baby boy to go into a field where there are very few people of color on television yet,
Yep.
and I'm going to be a meteorologist?
In general.
Yeah.
And weather.
Well, none. There were no, okay, the only person who was a person of color in Cleveland, Ohio was a reporter on the street named Pete Carey.
Okay.
The only people who were of color even acting in the late 60s was Bill Cosby on I Spy and
You got it.
Julia with Diane Carroll.
And who's coming to dinner?
The Sidney Poitier, but that was a movie as opposed to on television.
Talking about television. Yeah.
But I'm
So,
saying, but
very
there's
few.
nobody.
Exactly. So
No influences.
for mom and dad to say, okay, maybe the earth will catch up with you. Maybe the world will catch up with you. So they were all about positive. And so they exposed me to piano at 8 years old. They bought a piano.
Really?
Okay.
Took piano lessons from 8. When you get into school, you can't play piano. You have to play an instrument. And I chose clarinet, but all the clarinets were already taken out by other kids who were in line before me. So then I had to go to trumpet. And it was a cornet. And so I played trumpet. And then
So did this one.
there you go.
That's what I played too. Yeah.
Nice. But then my forward-thinking parents put braces on my teeth. And there went the trumpet.
Ouch.
Because that's hard.
I was
Oh,
looking
yeah.
Swiss cheese on the inside.
Ouch. Ouch.
So, because of my keyboard background, I went to percussion. So I don't have to use, a mouthpiece. I just use my hands on glockenspiel and xylophone and all that stuff. And then there was one piece of music, which is the Royal Fireworks music, an arrangement that had bells/timpani. Had no idea what timpani was. The music teacher, Mr. Morse, at my elementary school or junior high school, because now I'm in 7th grade with the braces, told me this is what timpani are, and this is the book, and go read it and come back. And I've got that weird thing called perfect pitch.
That's awesome. That's nice to have.
Perfect pitch.
I'm jealous.
I mean, you can hear any note and
Yep.
you know what it
Exactly
is and what
Exactly
key
what it
you're in
is.
and all that sort of thing.
But I tell people perfect
Damn
pitch
it.
is not good during Christmas time. When you have elementary school kids
Oh,
sing,
yeah.
sleep in heavenly peace, and they don't quite get up where they need to.
Yeah, it drives you nuts.
That
right?
drives me crazy.
Okay.
But so piano first, trumpet, and then timpani. So if I hadn't gone to meteorology, I was going to go to music. And I'm blessed to play in a couple orchestras around town, which is fun.
Well, you're big in the KC Symphony.
Not the
I've known
not
that.
the big boys. I mean, I've narrated. I've played with them on occasion, but it's the Civic Orchestra, which is an
Yes.
amateur group, like of doctors and lawyers and.
Well, to me, it makes no difference. That's awesome.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
So,
That's what they study to do, and we aren't good enough to get to the pro level. I guess.
who cares?
Ah,
So I think it's awesome.
I appreciate
and,
that.
And I love the fact that since I met you in '88,
Uh-huh.
the first time,
Yep.
you're big into your
Love it.
percussion,
Love it.
and this one too, and this one. I mean, I played the flute in middle school,
Well, there you go.
and Joe
So?
bought me a flute, but I'm a lefty,
Ah.
so he can't help me with the notes. I have
Right.
to go find a lefty.
You're a lefty. Okay, I'm a
Yes,
lefty.
I'm a lefty.
All
And then I
talented
have a
people have
guitar too
left-handed.
because I'm good at strumming.
Mhm.
But
Well,
that's
Paul
about it.
McCartney plays left-handed, right?
Yep.
Paul McCartney's left-handed.
White or was it Lennon? I'm not sure.
I think it's
But I tried the piano, which we'll show you upstairs. His piano,
okay.
but I suck at it.
Oh well.
But I'm better at where your hold your hands this way. Anyways, I digress. Point is, look, Bryan Busby has been here forever. He will still be here at Kansas City. See what we do, and we'll be here for him.
Thank you.
And I will help you out. So will John. If we're not yelling at each other when we're chasing, because that's the only time we argue.
Well,
We're geeks. We're total geeks. And that's
you're passionate though.
very much. Very much. See, now you know I was for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
After all these years.
And thanks for having me. on.
And will you come back?
Sure.
Promise?
Yeah.
Because I said that to Rollins too, and he said, yeah, and I don't believe him.
No, I come back.
Yeah, well, tell
Okay.
him too.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Johnny will come back.
Yeah, you will.
Bryan
That's a good
Busby, you are just, I don't know what to say. Anybody got anything? Why do I have to say everything?
Because you're the host.
You're the host here.
Well,
No, I'll say it. Brian's awesome. He's very talented. He's done a great job here for 30 some years.
So much.
Sweetheart, I love you.
So
too.
thank you for coming on, man.
My
My
pleasure.
man.
Thank you so much.
He, again, everything to do with why I'm here. And so I want him to be an influence for others, to broadcasters listening.
Mm-hmm.
Please, how about a little gal that comes to you and says, look, I'm really serious about this.
I currently have Brittany, and I forget Brittany's last name, who visited me in high school, who's now at KU, who's going to graduate, and she already has a job in St. Joseph. We didn't talk about this, and we'll do this for
Well,
the
hook
next
her
time.
to me, and I'll help her too.
There you go.
Yeah.
I will. Not a problem.
pass it forward.
That's what I'm trying to do. Absolutely.
Oh, I love it.
I'm
Beautiful.
blessed to have 42 ex-interns who are now currently employed in broadcasting. One being Joe Loria, and now he's my competitor. Erin Little came to me when she was going to Lee Summit High School. Now she's a competitor on 5.
Yeah.
Brett Anthony
noticed
hunted
that.
me down when he was going to a Chiefs game many years ago when he was in in Springfield.
Well, Gary Lezak was the first I met in '93 at a Royals game.
There you go. So you got to pay it forward.
I was like, I want to be a Met. He goes, just be a storm chaser.
Oh.
And then you took over.
Oh, nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that either. And the last two would be Gary Frank, who's on Fox 4, and Alex Conti, who's also now on Fox 4.
Okay.
Both interned with me. So
Wow. Well,
They-
you've contributed a lot here
they have
just
my
to the
playbook.
local
they have
I
my
mean,
playbook.
scene. Yeah.
Think about
Hey.
all the people you've influenced.
And what's cool about that is we did a story on a aircraft carrier, and one of the guys who's on in the field of meteorology, I came to his elementary school, and that's why he's in it. So not just broadcasters, but military. There's a guy who works for the National Weather Service out
that's
in Honolulu
beautiful.
Wow.
who said that I came to his school, and that's why I'm into it.
Love it.
So, yeah, I mean.
So you can have a lot of influence on people
See,
Yeah.
that,
like that. That's awesome.
you know,
Pay it forward.
like us as chasers, like, oh, well, you're out there to save lives. No, we don't. We just tell people how to save their own lives, don't we? We
True.
don't really save lives, and we'll call in ground truth. But that's it. Other than that, just influence other people to be safe and help others.
Well, but
To-
give yourself
to
more
achieve-
credit, though. Because if you weren't there to give those
Well,
reports.
that's what I'm saying. Ground truth.
Yeah.
You know.
Then you do save lives. Because maybe it was your piece of information that came to us that convinced them that, oh, I guess I should go to the basement this time. Because
Right.
we're seeing debris at 115th and Quivira.
Shauna's too modest on that one.
Okay, well,
I-
both you guys are for different reasons.
No, I appreciate that though. But I mean, I don't like, oh, we go out there and save lives. No, we go out and help people save their own lives. That is my goal,
And that's the same way with me. For the lady
right?
after Oak Grove or even Linwood to say that I saved their life.
Bingo.
No, I didn't force you to go down to the basement. I didn't tell you. I just told you this is what the data is.
Exactly.
Make up your own mind.
That's beautiful.
yeah. So,
And that's all we can do.
yep.
So, Bryan Busby,
Yes, ma'am.
my love,
Yes, dear heart.
you will come back and
Yes.
we'll do this again.
Yeah, we will. We'll talk about more stuff.
Oh my gosh, what are we gonna get this year? Hey, could you like forecast for months in ahead and tell us when we should go chase?
Oh, look, a new cat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's Sexy Sadie.
There's Sadie.
Oh.
I name all my cats after Beatles songs, so I'm waiting for a depressed one so I could name her Eleanor Rigby.
I said Lady Madonna's a good one, too. But
Yes, and Lady
obviously,
Madonna.
she does not miss meals.
No, definitely not.
No.
Yeah, and she's the runt of the litter.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm bad.
No, that's fine.
I spoiled them.
Well, Sadie, I think, is about 14, and
Oh.
she's got a few issues. She has diabetes, so actually she lost a lot of weight.
Really?
Yeah.
And the fact she's getting a little heavy, the doctor said maybe
I don't
that's a good
think
thing.
anyone cares about this. Sorry.
Well, I do.
Well, she's a good cat.
As
She's
a
an
storm
orange
chaser,
tabby.
we have to have a professional cat keeper
Right.
that knows how to do influence shots and
Okay.
stuff. So, anyways, again,
Oh, look
thank
at her.
you, Bryan Busby.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
And looking forward to your forecast. And everybody pay attention, right? Or he will come after you. Look at the camera. I don't know which camera. That one.
There you go.
He will come after you. Know that. Or I will. Anyways, thank you, Busby.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.